Well, thank you for coming today, everyone. And first of all, congratulations to new members of the United Arts Hall of Fame. If there are any previous Hall of Fame inductees, would you please stand so we could honor you today? My name is Yuri Rashkin, and I'm president of United Arts Alliance. Who are the people of United Arts Alliance? UAA, individual artists, both visual and performance. Many individuals who support the arts but are not artists or performers, and many area organizations, including JPAC. Many of the groups who perform here and others such as Janesville Art League and Rock County Historical Society, and of course JATV, which is filming this event today and will be seen on JATV. So it's awesome to have JATV here. And the history of United Arts Alliance has actually been here since 1996, when several area residents got together to discuss the possibility of bringing area fine artists and arts organizations together to promote and support the arts collaboratively. The United Arts Alliance is unique in that many such organizations are sponsored or supported by corporate, school, or governmental bodies. But UAA has always been a standalone, non-profit organization run by volunteers who believe in the arts and each other. Over the years, UAA has been involved in various endeavors. Currently, UAA sponsors Arts Fest, which promotes the visual and performing arts, and this year it will be as part of actually Janesville Irish Fest. And this year we held our third annual Janesville Area Creativity Awards. Janesville Area Creativity Awards recognize creativity in all forms, from theater and music to culinary arts, hair design, and tattoo artists. So stay tuned for that. Which helps in supporting UAA's scholarship program, where we contribute a scholarship to one or more Rock County graduating high school seniors or returning students to help in furthering their undergraduate educations. The United Arts Alliance Hall of Fame was established in 2001 and has been held every year since to honor area citizens who have made significant contributions to the advancement of the arts in Rock County. Every fall, UAA solicits nominations from citizens of Rock County, and from those nominated, up to 3 inductees are selected by an impartial committee of area residents who are knowledgeable of the arts, but who are not active members of UAA. We are here today to honor 3 individuals who are new members of the Arts Hall of Fame. And now I would like to introduce today's keynote speaker, and it is Thelma Wilcox. Thelma moved to Rock County from Chicago in 1973, restarted the Beloit Janesville Youth Orchestra, and formed a Suzuki violin program. She joined the Janesville Public Schools in 1977 and taught orchestra until she retired in 1999. Thelma formed the Trinity Dinner Theater, which put on summer musicals from 1977 until 1986, and she directed 2 musicals for Janesville Little Theater. As if that weren't enough, in 1986, Thelma founded the annual Walk-In Messiah, which is still active today, and she founded the Janesville Golden Strings in 1987. She served as interim conductor of the Masterworks Chorus from 2001 through 2003, and is currently active in the McDowell Music Club. She also serves as a substitute keyboardist for the Blue Velvet Band, as am I. We share that at the Senior Center. If you're looking for a place to dance on Friday mornings to sounds of big band, Janesville Senior Center has got a big band for you. For several years, she played piano at various restaurants in the area, and she has 2 cats who are very musical. In 2001, Thelma was a member of the first class of honorees inducted into the United Arts Alliance Hall of Fame. And I should take a second to say that there is the wall, United Arts Hall of Fame. This is where the nominees, the plaques, will be placed for 5 years, and after that they go to honorees. And we just changed things a little bit because we've had so many honorees that we started to run out of the wall space. So we transitioned into a new setup. We now have a board where all the honorees are listed. And I invite every one of you to take a look at that list, because I think you'll just feel better about where you live, because there's some great people that live here. And so with that in mind, we are honored to have her speak today on the importance of the arts in our lives. Thelma Wilcox.
Can you see me? That's always a problem. Well, I'm very honored to be asked to speak here today. This is a wonderful occasion. My congratulations to David, to Jeff, and to Barbara, all three of whom have evidently done really wonderful things with their lives and have helped our community so much. Thanks also to the people that organized this. I know Peg Wyszynski is always so busy with all of this and does a great job. I know we appreciate it. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. I got to thinking about the last time I gave a formal speech, and I believe it was when I was in college. It was a speech class, and we were to be graded on how well we could hold the attention of our classmates, in addition, of course, to our manner of speaking and so forth. But the main thing was, could we keep their interest? And I figured that I had to get a really good topic that would grab their attention. So I chose how to shrink a human head. I think I still know how to do that. I don't know that anybody can ever underestimate the importance of arts in the community. For these things, the arts touch everybody, young and old alike. I think we can prove that here in Rock County, where there's so many things that are available for young people as well as for adults. And all of these things really enrich our lives. Now, I've been thinking about this. I thought I would ask you to let me reminisce a little bit about growing up, sort of, with the arts. I grew up in a very, very small town in Nebraska, kind of in the northeastern third of the state, right on the edge of the Sandhills. As I often explain, it's a little town that you can find just before the map starts to go blank. We're on the edge of the farming community and ranching, and it was a pretty diverse place. There wasn't a lot available to us for art, and so we kind of had to make our own. And to be perfectly frank, it was probably pretty awful, but at least we got to do it. I think we did have instrumental music, we had choral music, we had theater. We had very little in the way of fine arts, which I think was a shame. I think the closest you could ever get to it was the graffiti and strange structures that appeared on Halloween, and that was it. The size of our town was about 853 souls, and it was kind of a divided community. We had a very large Catholic school, a very small public school in which my parents taught. And there were really only two games in town, so to speak. It was your church and the school. So you knew that whenever the school put on a play, the place would be packed. Whenever the church did anything, the place would be packed. You didn't have anything else to do. This was good. And we had a lot of adults who were very, very generous in guiding us kids. For recreation, we had very little. We had the picture show, which took place on Wednesday and Saturday evenings, and that was pretty much it. Then there was the radio and storytelling, which was big. And people were honored for their ability to spin a tale. We would ask for the same ones over and over, and to be able to do certain people in town, to imitate them to perfection. Doc Graham and his wife, Nina Bell, were exceptional. I shall never forget them. And there was also participation in various cultural things. We had a community chorus that met once a year, and we put on a rather large-scale work, usually. There was the municipal band. There were no school bands because the school was too small. There were the faculty high school productions, where you have faculty members with community members, and then, of course, various high school things. Also, there were funerals. Funerals were big. It was an aging population. But I think when I think of funerals, I think particularly of Mrs. Grant and her son, Dean. Mrs. Grant and her husband had Dean when they were rather well along in years, and Mrs. Grant became what you might call a helicopter mother. And she hovered, and Dean became very much like his mother. He even spoke like her. And Mrs. Grant's main form of recreation was to go to every funeral in town. Whether she knew anybody or not, she was there. And along with her came her little son, Dean. So Dean became really fixated on funerals, and where other children had little toy cars and trucks and trains, Dean had a fleet of hearses. This is true. And he had his mother's way of speaking, which was rather sad and depressing. One particular story that I love about Dean Grant has to do with his second grade teacher, Margaret Frisbee. Margaret was a lovely young girl. She lived with her mom before she was married, but her mother at this time, when she was teaching Dean, her mother had become terribly ill, and it was very, very serious. Margaret was terribly worried, and I'm sure that it bothered her with her teaching, but she was there, you know, doing her bit. And one day she came storming into my father's office, and she said, "Roland, I am going to kill Dean Grant." And my dad said, "Well, why on earth would you want to do that? What'd he do?" And she said, "Well, every morning when Dean comes in, he comes up and he looks at me and he says, 'Well, Miss Frisbee, how's your mother?'" Frightening. There was also tap dancing. At the parochial school one year, they were quite fortunate in that their music teacher also had the ability to tap dance, and somehow the word got out, and my mother decided that a class of tap dancing students should be organized, and took several of us little Protestant 5-year-olds down to the Catholic school to learn to tap dance. I count this as one of the most confusing times of my life. First of all, you couldn't see Sister Fidelia's feet. And there was that constant jingling and rattling of beads and chains, but we liked it. We loved Sister Fidelia. She always gave us candy corn at the end of the session. There was a recital, as I recall, and then they moved Sister Fidelia. I hope it didn't have to do with our bad dancing. I don't know. And then there, of course, was church choir. And there was Bernice Hinman, who was a marvelous singer. She had studied voice in college and was ready to go to Europe to study, and First World War broke out, so she couldn't go. But nevertheless, she stayed in our little town and was so generous with her talents. My mother, who was a fine accompanist, used to play for her, and as a small child, listening to the two of them rehearse was one of the greatest joys of my life. And furthermore, she sang in our church choir, and from the time I was about a 6th grader, I too was in the church choir. Adults and kids, no, it was the church choir, kids and adults. And standing beside Bernice Hinman, I learned to sing. That was one of the great things about being in a small town. Everybody worked together. And I see signs of that happening here. In fact, we did that this year when we did the Walk-in Messiah. And we've done it every time we've done Walk-in Messiah, adults and kids, and it's been great. There was also the community band. I rather hesitate to mention it. It was not a great band. I was taught trumpet starting about my 5th grade year, not by choice. My father loved the trumpet, and he had it in his mind that I would learn how to play the Bells of St. Mary's on the trumpet and make him happy in his old age. But the trumpet he got for me was not the greatest. This was wartime. You couldn't get metal things very well. And what metal things you did get were not in great shape. This one particularly, it leaked. If you kept your hand alongside the valves and you had somebody blow, usually me, you could feel a draft. I developed great wind capacity. The first time I got to blow a trumpet that didn't have leaks in it, I darn near blew the wall down. It was amazing. Our community band was, again, a mixture of very old and very young. I remember Reverend Nerup, who was our first trombonist. Lovely man, quite elderly. I believe he must have been in his 80s. And our band used to march. Not really, we marched for one block, starting from Conger's Feed Store, up past the Farmers Union, and then we made a a nice little wheel turn into the street across from Fauble's store, and there we had a little band shell, and we gave concerts. The bad thing was that Reverend Nerup was a little unsteady on his feet, and being a trombonist, that meant he was right guide, and we were to follow him, which we did. And so, if you can picture this band of very old and very young, weaving its way down Main Street for one block, that was our town band. But we tried. And it was a great thing. As far as storytelling is concerned, I think it started, or theater, I think the theater thing starts with storytelling. And that's what people were great at. We used to just demand same stories over and over again. And as I said, you had to be able to imitate people. Now, next door to Bernice Hinman lived a woman that every child in town tried to imitate. She was kind of a sad little soul, actually. She was a spinster, lived with her mother and father, who ran a grocery store. She was an odd soul, really. Every day she would dress herself very nicely and very primly trot down to her parents' store, where she would sit in the display window, surrounded by tasteful pyramids of Del Monte peaches and string beans, and there she would be. That's where she spent her day. I thought the flypaper hanging from the ceiling that was that extra touch, but Goldie kind of had ambitions. She wanted very much to be married, but that never happened. The poor unfortunate person had a very, kind of a speech defect. I think it was caused by adenoids, and this is what made us want to imitate her. Not to her face, of course, we were tactful. But as I say, things never really panned out for her. For instance, I remember one time when my friend Nancy, who was Bernice's daughter, saw a package of matches fall out of Goldie's purse, and she said, "Goldie, I didn't know you smoked." And Goldie said, "I didn't. I tried it once and it didn't work." Which left us all scratching our heads. Goldie, I remember one particular day. Now, Bernice, the singer, had two daughters, Betty, who was the older, and Nancy, who was my very good friend. And Bernice and Betty were accomplished mimickers of Goldie Egler. They could really do it, but Nancy was working on it. And they tell the story of one day Goldie walks by their house, and she stopped at the end of the walk, and here the three ladies were on the front porch, probably snapping beans or shelling peas, doing something busy. And Goldie stopped, and she looked at them, and she said, "Hello, Bernice, and how are you today?" And Bernice said, "I'm fine, Goldie, and how are you?" "I'm just fine, Bernice." "Hello, Betty, how are you today?" And Betty said, "I'm just fine, Bernice, and how are you?" And she went to Nancy, who kind of lost it. She said, "Hello, Nancy, how are you today?" And Nancy said, "I'm just fine, Bernice. I'm just fine, Goldie, how are you?" And Goldie turned to Bernice and said, "You know, Bernice, I can't understand a word that time." Of course, one of the great things, every year the faculty of our school would get together with other adult members of the community, and they would put on a play. Now, these plays were really awful. They were either horrible slapstick comedies or the most gruesome murder mysteries you could possibly imagine. My parents were either in the show or directing it, and I had to go with them to all the rehearsals. And of course, being an annoying little child, I'm sure that I learned all the lines and made everybody really angry. But one of the conditions of my going was that I was not to reveal the ending of the murder mystery or anything about it. And I kept my word, except I did tell my cousin Bruce because I told him everything. Well, I remember this one particular show. It was about a terrible man who had the habit of luring women into his home and then beheading them. And the real climax of Act 2 was my mother's head hanging from the closet. Okay. Now, when it comes time for one of these shows, you take all of the desks out of the study hall, which was also the auditorium, and you put in regular chairs, and then in the front row, you put little chairs from the primary, and that's where all of us kids were to sit. And I remember probably one of the best moments in theater I can recall. They opened the closet door, and my mother's head was there. She opened her eyes. She opened her mouth. She screamed. The audience screamed, and John Paul Davis wet his pants. It was truly theater. I loved it. Well, all of this probably goes to prove absolutely nothing except that we try. We don't always do the very greatest art, but we do it. That's what's important. And I think I will want you to remember something that Fritz Reiner, the conductor of the Chicago Symphony, once said. He said, "What this country needs is more bad string quartets." Thank you so much.
Thank you, Thelma. It made me feel like I was at a Prairie Home Companion experience. Thank you very much. And I do want to take a second to acknowledge all the hard work that was done putting this event together and collecting the nominations and finding the judges and United Arts Alliance. We have committees for different events, and we have a committee for Hall of Fame, and Peggy has done more over the years, and she every year she says this is her last year, and we can't imagine this event without Peggy. So Peggy, thank you so much. All right, our first inductee is David Lundahl. A longtime Beloit resident, David Lundahl has contributed greatly to the arts of Rock County through his example as a nationally recognized visual artist who happens to make his home here in the heart of Midwest. David's media includes sculpture and photography. His innovative sculptures have been made of cast iron, which he welded, and also limestone, granite, and other materials. He has made innumerable photographic self-portraits as well as hundreds of fine examples of model portraits. Innovation and productivity are his hallmarks. Part of his story is New Light Studios, that dilapidated farm that Mr. Lundahl rebuilt largely by himself. Despite his restricted mobility, he re-roofed and re-floored the barn and completely rehabilitated the house and other buildings. Thus, an abandoned farm became a place for people to come and visit and make art. The silo contains musical instruments. The barn is floored to accommodate dance performance or games of long ball, the basketball game Mr. Lundahl created. One room in the house is covered in 3 layers of white shellac to make it an overwhelming space for photography. A modified shed is a welding studio, and the corn silo is affixed with a level of decks leading all the way to the top so that one can watch the sunset or just read a book 100 feet in the air. One of David's former students has said, quote, his New Light Studios in rural Beloit holds examples of his sculpture, photographs, and other artwork, and the site as a whole is a kind of experiment in architecture and landscape art that must be experienced in person to be truly appreciated, end quote. New Light Studios offers artists residencies in a self-sufficient guest house on a nearby property. Artists ranging from painters to sculptors, writers, and filmmakers have held residences at New Light. They have come from as close as Chicago and as far away as Copenhagen. The emphasis is on privacy so that the artist can focus on his or her work. If the artist can afford to make a donation to help with property upkeep, that's welcome, but most artists stay for free. David's national recognition includes his win of the Da Vinci Prize for his innovative use of light inclusion in competitive entry shows, such as the World Trade Center Twin Towers before 9/11, John McEnroe's Manhattan Gallery, and the Wisconsin Triennial. Both the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, in New York and San Francisco Museum of Modern Art own examples of David's artwork in their permanent collections. At home, he has been included in the Beloit and Vicinity exhibit held yearly at Beloit College and in the 2007 Taste of Culture, which benefited the University of Wisconsin-Rock County Foundation, to name just 2 of the area's important art shows. He also served for several years as a board member of Beloit Fine Arts Incubator and taught sculpture at Beloit College for several years. After the first Congregational Church in Beloit was destroyed by fire in 1998, David was able to salvage some of the debris. He used these materials to create a work of art titled Phoenix, and presented the sculpture to the church to be hung in its reconstructed building. It is a powerful reminder of the church rising again from the adversity of its fire, and it hangs prominently in the church today. His efforts to bring awareness to legitimate, substantive, creative work in our area are well known and greatly appreciated and respected. Quote, everyone is creative, he says. I love to teach people how to bring forth their own self-expression, quote. And receiving the plaque on David's behalf is his wife, Sherry.
Thank you, Yuri, and thank you. I suddenly have my hands full here. Thank you very much, Yuri, and thank you everyone who is a member of the United Arts Alliance. David was disappointed that he couldn't be here today to accept the award himself. He deals with a lot of physical challenges and sometimes has a lot of pain because of that. So he wanted me to let you know how much this means to him. He is really happy to be included and to be recognized in his own community. As Yuri so kindly said, David has shown his work throughout the United States, in almost every state in the Union now. I brought a couple examples of his work, so even though you won't get to meet David in person, you can at least meet some of his artwork face to face. So on the table over here, you'll see a tabletop sculpture of his called Family Justice. And I have some postcards with me of David's work that also include on the back an invitation to any of you who would care to make a studio visit. There's some contact information. So you would be more than welcome after we finish our acceptances, and congratulations to the other honorees as well. David is very happy to be among this honored trio. So if anyone would like to come see the sculpture up close afterward, or pick up a postcard so that you can come for a studio visit and meet David in person sometime, it would be very nice of you to do that. I also have with me one of his photographic self-portraits. It's rather small, so I know some of you in the back won't get to see the full effect. I'll put it up here on this front table as well, so you can take a look afterward. This one he did in honor of the survivors of Hurricane Katrina. He has a lot of heart, my husband does, and he brings forth and puts his own emotions into his artwork. He's not only very schooled in the history of art and honors such masters as Rembrandt for his use of light and Van Gogh for his persistence as well as his artistry, but David also not only bears in mind the history of art, but brings forward his own self and puts it into whatever he does. And as our wonderful speaker said earlier, whatever kind of creativity is available to you, the artists around us are wonderful examples of bringing forth their own individuality, and they are wonderful encouragers of bringing out your own creativity. So once again, on behalf of David Lundahl, I want to thank all of you so much. David is sincerely happy to be included in the Hall of Fame, and I hope that you will accept our invitation to come visit him sometime at New Light Studios, which is approximately a 15-minute drive from where we are right now, a little closer to Beloit, between Beloit and Clinton. Thank you again so much.
Before we talk about our next inductee, I should make a plug for United Arts Alliance and joining United Arts Alliance. You don't have to be the most artistically creative person in the world to belong to an organization that supports arts. We have several different events throughout the year that we're engaged in, such as Arts Fest and Jack Awards and raising money for scholarships and Hall of Fame. And if there's a particular event that you feel you particularly want to be involved with, talk to me or anybody on the committee. We'd love to have more participation, but you're also welcome to join. We have monthly meetings, which are held every third Wednesday of every month at 8 a.m. at Basics Community Room, and guests are more than welcome. Our membership fees are very reasonable. So, and on every table, there is a form that you can that stands there, so you can't miss it. And it talks a little bit about UAA, and it also has application for membership. Our next inductee, Jeff Suarez, Dr. Jeff Suarez. Currently Associate Professor of Music at UW-Rock County. Holds a doctorate in musical arts from UW-Madison. Since 1998, Dr. Suarez has made a significant impact on the musical arts in Rock County as an educator, director, performer, board member, and coordinator of a variety of arts endeavors. Dr. Suarez began teaching in Rock County at Beloit College in 1998, where he taught music theory courses, private French horn, and music composition lessons, and directed multiple ensembles. I have just learned, by the way, the French horn comprises 57 feet of brass. So that's, which is why I guess schools can't have lots of them, right? And the Help Yourself Youth Choir. He served in some of these capacities for more than a decade and continues to teach here. In 2002, Jeff became an assistant professor of music at UW-Rock County. In that first year alone, he formed an orchestra, restarted the big band, and brought new life to the UW-Rock County music program. Suarez has developed the first 2 years of college music education that allows students to move into music programs at other colleges and universities. He was promoted to associate professor in 2009. His work at UW-Rock County encompasses more than traditional classroom teaching. Jeff also took over direction of the Rock Prairie Concert Band. He then founded the Rock Prairie Chamber Orchestra, the Rock Prairie Big Band, the Rock Prairie Jazz Combo, and even a pep band at one point. He not only instructs students who earn credit for participating in these groups, but also has welcomed community members of varying abilities to join in and become part of the musical landscape of the community, whether they're learning new skills, are new to the area, and want to use their music skills to just provide another opportunity for folks who are already into instrumental music. He co-founded and directed the Rock Prairie Youth Orchestra, an orchestra filled with kids from the community whose ages range from late elementary all the way through high school. He has also given free public performances of his own music compositions and others' music, as well as public lectures on music topics. Jeff Suarez wrote the lyrics and composed this music. This is big stuff. To UW Rock County school song, Go Rattlers Go. In addition to his campus and community involvement, Jeff has been involved in a variety of community collaborations. At various times, he has served as the music director for the Walk-In Messiah, benefiting Echo, as a local church choir director, the Beloit-Janesville Symphony Orchestra personnel / production manager, and principal French hornist, Spotlight on Kids music director, played French horn with Brass Nova, the Janesville Choral Union, and other groups throughout Rock County. He was a board member of Theater Unlimited, directed a show for them in 2011, and served as the UW Rock County representative to the United Arts Alliance for 1 year. He also served as vice president on the board of the newly formed Turtle Creek Chamber Orchestra in 2012. Of course, you should also, and I'm sure Jeff will mention this, but there's a show that he is conducting going on right now, not quite right now because he's here, but tonight and next weekend, Full Monty at UW Rock County. So you should go see it. Jeff was recognized as one of the Janesville Gazette's 50 Who Matter in 2008, and since then has gone on to make more contributions to the musical landscape of this area, such as the summer band that performed on UW Rock County campus at Courthouse Park, and on the float in the Labor Day Parade. You haven't played until you played on a float. Videos of performances of his various musical groups are available on YouTube and have been taped and frequently aired on local JATV. Founding a number of new music groups in the area and keeping them in operation for a decade is a significant accomplishment and has enriched countless lives in a greater Rock County community. He has enriched the cultural landscape of the area by nurturing a new generation of musicians, providing performance opportunities for established musicians, and showcasing our local talent to the public through countless concerts and performances. Jeff Suarez.
Thank you very much, everybody. First off, I'd like to thank Carrie Hermanson, who nominated me for this, and also those who wrote letters on my behalf, Scott Jornes, Dean Carmen Wilson at the campus, also Lexi Hagley, who's a student, and then, of course, Carol Roy, who was our principal violist of the now called UW Rock County Chamber Orchestra. So with that said, I'd like to also thank my family, who is in attendance, my wife, my son, and my sons here, Gabriel and Connor. Thanks a lot for coming and supporting me. With that said, I would not be standing here today if it weren't for all the folks who have come out and volunteered their time and their lives to be involved with the groups that I am fortunate enough to conduct. And really, it's because of them. It's the work that they've done that I'm here. And indeed, it's been a wonderful joy to be here and have been involved in so many different things, you know, from doing shows here at JPAC to things at UW Rock County. And indeed, yes, I am the pit orchestra director of the Full Monty. It's happening next weekend, shameless plug. Next weekend, let's see, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I just want to make sure that everybody knows when it is. That's in the evening. It's not for kids. But with that said, it's been, you know, again, my pleasure to be involved and just so fortunate to have the opportunities that I've had here because of the folks who come out and spend their time with the groups. And with that said, too, it's a collaborative effort. For us to continue to succeed, we must work together. And I've seen more and more of that in the decade plus that I've been here. And it's been refreshing. You know, of course, there are going to be bumps in the road. And there are going to be, you know, differences of artistic, you know, opinion, if you will. But nonetheless, people are working and things are happening. You know, there are even more theater groups in town now than when I started. And there are opportunities for people to play all the time. Not just with what I do, and it's a small world in the arts, most certainly. And word filters around. And I played down at River of Life, Beloit Methodist Church a couple weeks ago. And you know, you just see other people, other artists, other musicians, and you make all these contacts, you know, and next thing you know, people are playing at another job, or a volunteer gig, et cetera, et cetera. And it's that kind of fabric that keeps us together as a community. And it's just wonderful to see the blossoming. And again, I'm very thankful for the award, and I'm very thankful to be in this. But remember, when you see this, when you see me, it's because of the work of many others other than myself that I'm here. It's a collaborative effort. So thank you very much. I appreciate this.
Thank you, Jeff. And let's see. One more thing to mention. Of course, there's always more. You know, like, did I mention everything I needed to? And of course, Peggy has written me a very detailed itinerary. But to make sure that I don't get derailed, but I have to remember JAC Awards, Janesville Area Creativity Awards. We are taking nominations, and we'll be taking them throughout the year. And it really helps to have, because we can't go to all the shows. We can't see everything that's happening out there. But if you do, you go out there, you see something that you think should be recognized. And I see at least one honoree, and there's probably more in this room that have been honored with JAC Awards in the past. It's important to have this recognized. This is what today is about, and that's what JAC Awards are about, and so there's a form. All right, next nominee. Our final nominee today, Barbara Mathews. Barbara is a well-known and widely respected, in the region, it's hard to accomplish, widely known and widely respected, in the regional arts community, both as an instructor and as an artist. She's a member of the Wisconsin Watercolor Society, the Janesville Art League, Wisconsin Regional Art Association, and the Wisconsin Regional Artist Alliance. She has received many awards from these and other art associations over the years and is highly respected by her peers. She is known to volunteer for time and talents to Arts Fest, RAP, Arctic, Friends of Noah, Janesville Rap, Pullman Festival, and the list goes on and on and on. Barbara truly is a self-taught painter. She was determined to be the very best she could be with any endeavor she loved. She paints every day, reads about art and painter techniques, and takes classes herself. She constantly tries new and different techniques to develop and expand her knowledge. Not having a formal education in art, she has taken classes from a number of artists throughout the country. In spite of her talent, she considers herself to be a learner, always looking for new ways to improve. Barbara teaches a weekly art class with as many as 25 students per class. She has been an inspirational and encouraging teacher to all in her classes from beginner to the more accomplished. She has the ability to reach all of her students regardless of their skill level. She enthusiastically shares what she learns, and she shares her passion. She's devoted to helping each student reach their maximum potential. Barb has endless energy and skill, which creates an environment of excitement and challenge in every class. She instills in her students a love of the artistic world and the need to keep producing art. It's probably a strong testament to Barb is how many people in this room are her students. Barbara also works in the cosmetology profession. Although it is not on paper, cosmetology is definitely a visual art form. One of the most outstanding programs that she had developed was the Mercy Hospital Wig Program, which gives free wigs to patients who have hair loss due to medical reasons. She allowed the salon she owned at the time to be the source for ordering, cutting, and styling of the wigs, a practice which continues to this day, helping patients throughout Rock County. Traveling is one of Barbara's passions, and she has partnered with a local travel agency to create painting adventures to a variety of countries. She has been instrumental in attracting students of all levels to follow her to new and exciting destinations around the world. Barbara is a unique person who has taken her many talents and created a life full of adventure and enthusiasm. She has the ability to mentor others and bring out the best in them. She has an incredible sense of humanity and brings that to our community through her profession and her artistic talents. Barbara Mathews, please.
Wow. Gee, I didn't know I did so much. I was just having fun. I'm very, very honored, and I want you all to know how honored I am get this award. I can't possibly talk about anything unless I talk about Marilyn Keating, who was my mentor. She's in my head every day I paint. She taught me how to paint. And along with Claudia and L'Atelier Studio, they've had a wonderful, wonderful amount of international artists that come in and teach, and it's been my pleasure to be with them, and I thank you. The first class I ever taught was at the Monroe Arts Center in Monroe, and Sue Whitford happened to be in the class, and afterwards, Sue said she owned the painting place downtown in the mall, and she said, gee, I have a room in the back, and that started my weekly art classes. And so I thank Sue Whitford for getting me going. And sometimes I wonder why I do it, but I love it. One day after art class, Nancy McKenna and Barb Leonard came up to me and they said, how would you like to teach art on a cruise? I said, I'd love to. I never hesitated. I couldn't wait. What an opportunity that's been to travel all over and paint. It's just been wonderful. So I thank Nancy and Barb very much for that opportunity. I really thank everybody who takes my classes because you are all my inspiration. You are the people that inspire me. You're the people that push me out of my safe space, out of my box, and make me try things that I might never do. So you're my inspiration, and I thank all of you. I also can't accept this award without thanking one of my favorite people, and that's my husband, John. That puts up with me a lot, and he puts up with my absences, whether they're physical or mental. Most of them are mental. He's also never too busy to quick make me a mat for art class. He's never too busy to help me with anything that I need. He critiques everything I do. He critiques every drawing I do. He critiques every painting. And he's really kind of tough on me sometimes. But I value his opinion very much. But most of all, I trust him because he's my true partner. So thanks. My family, my kids, and my grandchildren are also my inspiration. My kids spent some of their summers sitting on the tailgate of a truck trying to sell my paintings. And my grandchildren are wonderful critiquers because many times I'll say, come on, see what Graham's painting, and they go downstairs and I always say, do you know what this is? And they say, yeah, it kind of looks like Tanner, but his eyes are all wrong. Or, what's that blob there? And I said, well, that's a shadow. Well, it doesn't look like a shadow. So, thanks, kids, for being so honest. I've also been extremely fortunate to work for many years with probably the most creative bunch of people that I have ever had the wonderful ability to grow with my whole life, and that's the people I work with. They are not just people I work with, they're my friends. We shared our lives together, and we're all still working, which is pretty amazing. So I thank you all for being such good friends and such wonderful creative people. Again, I'm really nervous. I am. And I thank you. I'm very honored and I'm very humbled by this award, so thanks very much.
Thank you to all the inductees. Thank you to all of you. Please make sure to follow rockcountyarts.com. It's United Arts Alliance on the web, or rockcountyarts.com. We're on Facebook, United Arts Alliance, and we want to stay in touch with you, and thank you for supporting the arts. let's see, make sure to, of course, attend the next Hall of Fame next spring and nominate people like crazy. And let's see, invite all to join us in refreshments with honorees. Tables going first. So the honorees go first, and then there's some beautiful, delicious refreshments. Thank you so much for being part of this program.
Yeah, sure, I'll sing Go Rattlers Go. So, this is how it came about. At the time, we had a dean, Janet Phillip, and she put together a Blue Ribbon Initiative to help bolster campus spirit. And I noticed that actually hardly any of the two-year colleges have a school song, although now there are more out there, which I think is great. Anyway, so I just, on a Saturday morning, just scribbled some lyrics down, made a little tune, and the next weekend I made it so it would work for band. And we performed it at a concert, and it kind of stuck. So it's called Go Rattlers Go. I haven't sung it in a while. Let's see, I'm sure I remember the words somehow. Go Rattlers Go, go Rattlers go. Come on and cheer for our side. Teamwork and determination will surely show our Rock County pride. Go Rattlers go, go Rattlers go. Let's go win this game. Fight hard with all of your might, so Rock County will win again. That's it.